Chainsaw Man 119 is here, and Fujimoto once again back on his bullshit. We see Denji and Asa arriving at Denji's place, and if you remember in the last chapter, Denji and Asa decided to go on a date but couldn't decide where to go, so they end up going back to Denji's place, and he told Asa how she absolutely must follow the house rules, otherwise she will die. It was heavily implied in the last chapter that this was referring to Nayuta. It was kind of left open to interpretation, but Nayuta, who's currently under the care of Denji, and obviously him telling Asa that she'll die implied a lot. So first implied Nayuta has established these rules, or something happened where Denji had to establish these rules. However, due to Nayuta being the reincarnation of the control devil, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that Nayuta was actually the one who's going to bring up these rules and made them set in stone, basically. However, these rules are pretty wild and random, so we do get clarification on what these rules actually are in this chapter, and they are as follows. Rule number 1, don't open the door to any apartment other than Denji's. This could be for many reasons, but one implication is Denji knows what is in the other apartments and doesn't want Asa to see whatever that mystery object or person may be. Or it could be a complete and utter misdirect from Denji to us, the reader, with Denji still not having adjusted, living to a normal life basically on his own. Or it could be option number 3, which I think is the most reasonable one to assume. Denji still has PTSD over opening doors, and honestly, at this point, who can blame him? Then we have rule number 2, don't open the fridge. I'm going to assume and speculate that the reason that this is said is for no other reason than there's a body in there to feed Nayuta, because I'm just going to assume that Nayuta is evil at this point. Fujimoto has truly given me PTSD for anyone that has eyes that look like that, and yeah, I don't trust any motherfucker who's got rings for eyeballs. I just don't trust them. You know, call me cynical, but I just don't trust them. And then finally, we have the most important rule that Denji has laid out. Rule number 3, which might be also the most random one yet, but according to Denji is the most important of all. And that is categorically no making out with Denji in front of Nayuta. And this can be interpreted like a couple of ways here, with Denji either badly trying to reverse psychology Asa into making a move on him, which, let's be honest, with Denji's eternal and noble quest to get himself some booty, I really wouldn't put him past him at this point. And then there is the other option, is that Nayuta will get jealous and feel like she's losing control over Denji, which again is also a very real possibility. But these rules are very random and all over the place on the surface, but when you dig into them and read between the lines, there's actually more than a couple of reasons as to why each and every rule has been set up there. And this is what I've gleaned from these rules here, just off the top of my head, and I'm sure you guys in the comments will be able to come up with even more reasons as to why these rules exist. After Denji is done explaining all these rules, Asa then goes on to say how she actually hates Denji, which I think we all know by now is just an out-and-out lie, and instead she's just trying to push Denji away because she just doesn't know how to deal with these situations, these emotions that she's feeling. And while this is all happening, we see Nayuta approaching the apartment, and honestly the sense of danger that was lurking throughout this chapter with these little panels of Nayuta getting closer and closer to the apartment was tense. Fujimoto, again, just this master of just creating this overwhelmingly tense expectation, especially because you know what's happened in the past and how bad things can go wrong and how quickly that can all happen. This chapter definitely did feel very tense. But Asa ends up telling Denji that she also has rules that she has to abide by, otherwise she'll also die. And she's obviously referring to Yoru here, which again Denji still has zero idea about. He seemingly cannot even tell the difference between Yoru and Asa, but we obviously as the reader know the difference based on the scar on her cheek, which has always made me wonder if that detail is just there for the audience, or if people inside of the Chainsaw Man universe notice when Asa is swapped out to Yoru. Does that scar appear on her cheek for everyone else, or is it just as a little signifier for us to know? But after Asa tells Denji all of this, he ends up sitting there and thinking about what Asa has just said to him, or wondering whether he stinks or not, basically. He's thinking it over in his mind, and he's like, well, hang on, what if I don't smell nice? So he turns around, he's about to ask Asa if he stinks, basically. As he turns around, he's greeted by Yoru, who is now face to face with him and proceeds to break the most important rule that Denji has laid out. Rule number 3, don't kiss Denji in front of Nayuta. And as this is happening, the door bursts open. The front door to the apartment bursts open on an unsuspecting Yoru and Denji, who no doubt Yoru was about to do some devious shit to Denji. The pair turn around to find Nayuta standing there in the doorway staring at them, looking incredibly similar to Makima, with how the lighting in the scene makes Nayuta seem as if these chains and leads are coming from his stomach, similar to how Maki had Denji's friends chained up for a fight against the gun devil. Nayuta simply points her finger at Yoru and just says one word: thief. And before we know it, there is a chain flying through Yoru's head from Nayuta's finger. Considering this chapter only had 15 pages, Fujimoto laid out a banquet for us here, because first of all, 3 of the horsemen devils have now all come into contact with each other in some way, shape or form, and we are just waiting on one more horseman devil to make his appearance. We're looking at you, Yoshida. I'm absolutely convinced that that man is the death devil. There's plenty of evidence there suggesting that he is, and he isn't, but it's on my head canon that Nayuta is the death devil. There was a lot to digest in this chapter for sure. Lots of read between the lines stuff, and I tried my best to glean as much information as possible from this chapter. There's no doubt probably something that I've missed, and if I did miss it, throw it in the comments down below. However, one major piece of information that I did notice was a Denji fart chart that was up, which I'm sure no doubt down the line is obviously going to be a vital piece of story progression right there for us. However, that is everything from me. If you enjoyed this video, so make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, peace.